Riverbend Awareness Project.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast episode are solely those of the individuals participating and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Riverbend Media Group or the Riverbend Awareness Project, its affiliates, or its employees. It is important to note that the discussion presented is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. Listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified healthcare professionals for any medical concerns or decisions. The Riverbend Awareness Project is a product of Riverbend Media Group.
Welcome to the Riverbend Awareness Project. This month we are talking about teen dating violence awareness. We have Tresstan Ker, an advocate from Idaho Falls Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Center, here with us today, and we're very grateful that you came in.
Thank you for inviting me.
Super. It's a very sensitive topic, but it's also very important. So
It really is. It's a very, very important topic. A lot of our kids nowadays, they may be aware or they may not even be aware that they are currently in an abusive relationship or situation. So raising awareness and educating people is very important within our community so we know how to help and understand it in a better way, especially for our teens.
And even if you aren't, sorry, just I'm ready to ask a question. Even if you aren't, I'm single, I don't have children, but maybe someday I'll be part of a church group that there's youth around, or, you never know when you might be a positive influence in a youth's life. And so, or, maybe you have family members who nieces or nephews, it's still good. You could say, oh, I don't have that in my life right now. Well, you may someday, or you may have people in your life you don't realize that knowing how to help them be safe is a great thing.
You usually there's kids. National average shows 1 in 3 teens will experience dating abuse. If you can be that one person, that one positive role model in their life that's safe, they'll be more open to come to help and ask for advice on situations that they end up in.
I just read that this morning, actually. I was looking up things so I knew what I was kind of talking about, and I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wild statistic.
It really is.
That is crazy. What different forms of abuse do teens face?
You have physical, you have emotional, you have sexual, and you have digital abuse that you will see in teen dating relationships. Emotional, it can be hitting, kicking, biting, excessive tickling. The emotional, putting you down, name calling. Sexual is forcing you to do sexual acts when you don't consent or touch. And digital, that's a whole nother level of things that we're learning in this world, and them trying to get you to share certain images or being able to track where you're going. They can use that technology if they decide that, hey, I want you on an app where I just can monitor and know that you're safe. Well, that can also lead into the relationship of stalking, knowing where you're at consistently. And it's a whole nother level of abuse.
Mm-hmm. That control.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. You mentioned technology, so that's evolved, right? How has that changed for teen dating violence? How has it evolved in the last couple of years?
So, I've gone to several different trainings about digital technology and some of the things that have happened, not only just within your dating relationships, but also just in social media generally. Mm-hmm. After a couple trainings, I wanted to come home and take my teen's cell phone away and, never have them, give them access to that again. You can't do that. This is the world that they're growing up in. This is what their lives are going to be, and it's only going to progress. Mm-hmm. So learning the education and being able to educate kids that when someone is trying to pressure you into send them an image. I'll send you one if you send me one. I won't share. I'll keep it private. That's not always the case. They will end up sharing it. And sometimes what you see in dating relationships is when you break up or they get angry or something, they will use it against you for a blackmail purpose. I'm going to share this if we break up, or you might find them that they do start sharing it just to prove that they have an image or they have done something or they have received something. And again, going back to that piece of knowing where you're at all times. So it's educating. Just, kids really need to be educated about the safety precautions within social media and dating relationships when it comes to that. And if you really feel like you're in a very toxic relationship, is this really something that you want to do? And once you send an image out, there's always a digital footprint. And sometimes that's very hard to get back. Now, there is resources out there nowadays that are helping retrieve those images. And hopefully they get all of them, but there's no guarantee that they're going to get all of them.
Be mindful of.
Yep, be very mindful.
You share.
Mm-hmm.
Why are teens specifically vulnerable to this? And do things like peer pressure and media influence have a big influence on it?
I would say so because, look at their self-esteem. When you look at social media, it portrays a lot of people have like these perfect lives, these perfect relationships. You got to look a certain way, act a certain way. Relationships should be a certain way. So it can show like, oh, it's so perfect, it's so positive. But what actually, honestly, is going on behind closed doors beyond those pictures? What you may see really isn't the truth when it's not on the screen.
A perception of how something should be versus how it actually is. Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness. I need to drink water. Sorry, guys. I did not hydrate well enough today. So kind of beyond that idea of, right, the immediate impact in that relationship, what other effects does abuse in a dating relationship have on someone, whether that be in their academic life, further on down the line, like mentally and emotionally? What impacts does it have?
So overall impact can on the emotional growth. They get in trouble at school. They'll have failing grades. They have no interest in going to school because if you're dating somebody and the situation is occurring at school, are you going to want to go to school knowing that there's this toxic relationship going on? Are you walking on eggshells? What are they going to say to me today? If I talk to the wrong person, am I going to be in trouble? So you have to be like very cautious. The emotional growth and a toll it takes on. It's like you're walking on eggshells. I remember when I was dating a guy and we were at a roller skating rink. That's what we did on the weekends is went and roller skated and had a really good time. But unfortunately, I had friends that were boys and girls. I happened to be talking to one of my friends that was a boy, and when I walked away, my boyfriend got mad and kicked me in the shin with roller skates. So, it can take a toll that way, questioning, what's going to happen today? What's going to happen tomorrow? You'll feel depression can set in. Isolation can start to happen. You want to watch TV and music all the time. Like you don't want to engage. You don't want to go hang out with your friends. So you start to question who you are yourself as a person and the relationship as a whole.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best and safest way for a teen to intervene if they suspect that somebody they know is in a relationship like that?
So if you're a peer or you're a friend of somebody you feel like is in an abusive relationship, is have a conversation. Start that conversation. The one thing that they may not be aware of is they may not realize that they are in an abusive relationship. Um, encouraging them to talk with a trusted adult. That can be from a parent to a counselor to a teacher. If you have concerns like of things at school, maybe the security officer or resource officer, and having those conversations, encouraging them to reach out for support, finding resources that can help them and educate them, move forward. So,
Sorry, I was just thinking about the last bit of the conversation and thinking about like my teenage years. I never dated really seriously anyone, but thinking about like just that state of time, right? Like you talked about self-esteem, but also like, and I wasn't even on social media a lot because we didn't have internet. Sorry, I'm rambling, but like just knowing how my life was, which was pretty, safe and good, there was still like, self-doubt and just the trials of being a teenager, right? Of growing up and kind of being in that awkward state of trying to figure out who you are and where you want your life to go and making friendships or kind of losing friendships, like, and then having an abusive relationship on top of all that, that would be so hard. And yeah, sorry, that's just where my thought process went. I was like, that would be just the straw that breaks the camel's back. So definitely, if you have someone sees that happening to someone they care about, try and
definitely try
and help. Like in the most, I think last year, the year before last, we had someone come in who had gone through some abusive relationships. It was for a domestic violence episode that we did, and I don't know how I'm going to say this. She talked about how like you can't force someone to leave that relationship, right?
Absolutely.
Until they're ready. Like they have to be ready, but you can still, there's still ways to help.
There is. Absolutely.
I'm not going to say those ways because I don't know exactly what they are, and I don't want them to be like, oh, that. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm sure there are ways you can help without being like, no, you have to do this. But
listening, non-judgmental. It's their journey. We may have never experienced it ourselves. They may get mad at you. That's okay. But at least they know you're there, so that if it, continues and they start to recognize, they can come back and say, I need to talk. Let's talk. Sitting down and being able to have those conversations. But to also know I'm here as a friend, I'm here as a parent, I'm here as a teacher. That if you need me and you need to talk, that's what I'm here for. Trying to force somebody to do something will only make it worse. They will be like, I'm stepping back. I don't want to have anything to do with this. We want to approach the best way possible, but also empower them and give them the choice.
Thank you. That's
You're welcome.
Perfect. I was like, how do I convey that? Yes, that's awesome. So talking about support, right? That idea of trusted adults, whether that be a parent or a counselor, what is the most effective way to talk to teenagers about healthy boundaries, healthy relationships, consent for physical touch, those kinds of things? What kind of
conversations with kids is, helping them recognize what a healthy relationship looks like compared to what a abusive or controlling relationship looks like. There is all kinds of education out there online that you can take a look at. There is books. There is groups. I know our office, we have a teen group that we do that is about healthy relationships and teaching kids, this is healthy in a relationship, being able to communicate, being able to have respect for each other, being able to compromise. Compare, and then the power and control. So teaching what are those warning signs and red flags in relationships. The isolation piece. They get jealous over you hanging out with your friends or your family. I've heard of situations where they can be going to do something with their family because it's a family reunion or it's a wedding or something, and their partner gets mad and gets upset and will call them names, or they become physical with them. Well, you don't love me anymore. You spend more time with your family than you do with me. But they're teens. They're still young. They're still going to do family stuff. Even as adults, you should be able to.
Yeah.
So, just finding those resources and education out there that can really help them understand, what is that healthy relationship? What should I be looking for to move forward? And once you understand those healthy aspects in relationships and what to expect, the healthier your relationships are going to be, the healthier your partner is going to be going forward through your teen life into your adult life. It will help you not only in your dating relationships, but also your friends, family members. So you'll take a look at all relationships once you understand what healthy looks like.
What's the most important conversation a parent can have with their teen about dating?
Parents, working with kids a lot in my job, they feel like sometimes they can't go to their parents. They feel like parents are going to judge them, and sometimes not take them very serious. But being open and honest with your kids. All of the trauma and everything that I went through with my teen dating experience, becoming such a young mom at such a young age, I have been a very open book with my kids about, the warning signs, being safe. And if you're in a situation and you need guidance and you need help, please come to me. I am here to help you in any way. They want to know that it's going to be okay. Knowing that if I come to you and I tell you something, am I going to get in trouble for it? So they sometimes will kind of shy away from coming to have conversations with parents because they are afraid that they may get in trouble. So be open, be honest, and just listen to them. Take what they're talking to you about seriously, and help them navigate what is healthy.
I think if you have that, either start to have that, build that the parent-child relationship, right, of having honest conversations, not necessarily maybe getting in trouble, but like learning through mistakes in life. Like I said, I'm not a parent, I shouldn't, but from what you said and seeing what my parents have done, right, like I'm super close with my mom, and so I'll talk to her about all the things because I know she'll listen and she'll share advice and opinions, but also be like, also you're an adult, so you get to decide. But here's what I know from my experience, right? So, yeah, I think it's, even if it's for all the reasons you want to be close and have a healthy relationship with your kids, but also to help them come to you when they have something that it may be more dangerous or harder to talk about.
I am with my kids, teaching them all the things that I could from a relationship that I didn't want them to be in, or the kids that I work with on a daily basis. You know, life used to be chaos all the time, and now it's just a boring, and I love it. It's not like it used to be. But my kids would get to the point, they're like, okay, Mom, we've heard this like 1,000 times. We know, we get it. But the one thing it also helped with my kids is that once you had those conversations and were open and honest and gave them that safe place, their friends, they would notice their friends were going through things. And their friends would start talking to them, and they're like, hey, I know somebody you should really come and talk to. Pretty soon, you know, I had other teens that are like, I need help. Can you help me? So creating those safe space for our teen kids to have those conversations also can create safe spaces for their friends to open up and come and have conversations with trusted adults. So if you're creating those, it opens a whole new avenue within our community.
Very cool.
I definitely had friends, parents growing up that I felt more comfortable talking to about certain things. And it was nice to have that. Like, oh, I don't want to talk to my parents about this because they might not take it so well, but I can go to Jimmy's parents and I know I can sit down and trust them and have a good conversation with them. And they would always give me good advice.
Mm-hmm. There was even times that I had, kids who needed just to stay for a couple nights to get away from a situation. But also having those open relationships with their parents and saying, hey, he's just struggling a little bit, wants to know if it's okay just to stay. Mm-hmm. But being able to have that to help, is important. It is important to kids, especially the judgment. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to be put down, and they really don't want to be in trouble if they come to open up about something.
That's very true. Although, for me personally, I found out that once I did go to my parents with something and terrified to do it, surprisingly, my parents were very open to talking about it and they didn't freak out. Mm-hmm. There was definitely that fear. And after that, it was like, oh, maybe my parents are a lot cooler than I thought they were.
Yeah, that is the truth.
Yeah, I think you definitely forget sometimes. You're like, oh, my parents were also teenagers and kids. And they also did things that they probably don't tell us about because they don't want us to make, well, sometimes, but you're like, oh yeah. Like what you said, because you shared that struggle with your kids. So they knew, well, mom is a great resource for help because she knows how to, what am I saying? She's not going to judge us, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
She's going to just help us. So.
Well, and that's something I always tell the teens that I work with in groups too is, I'm not here to judge you because I'll be honest with you. At one point in time, I was a teen. I know some of the things that I went through and some of the things I probably shouldn't have done. I'm like, it's a safe space for you to open up and let us know what's going on. How can we help you? It really is important. And you're right. At some point in time, our parents were teens. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to think about.
They did stupid things too.
Sorry, Mom, you never did anything stupid. I know that.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that bad word, Melissa.